some celeb pics. I would never say whose. If I ever wanted to like sun them, I could.
Hi, I'm Crystal Vega.
Hi, I'm Amanda Booth.
Welcome to Elevators Podcast, where we talk about the peaks and valleys of life's journey, from relationships to entrepreneurships, friendships, all the ships basically, and even give you a taste of the sizzling social media hot topics.
Yo, we are here for a special show because the Miami Mommies made it out of the group chat.
Yeah, we did.
The group chat is here.
Hi, girl.
Hi.
Live in person.
Live in person.
Give her an intro, Amanda.
Yes.
She deserves.
We had to bring our girl, Ashley Nicole Moss, of course, to Elevators Podcast. She's an elevator herself. Okay, my girl is Forbes 30 under 30. Okay, she's worked with brands like Sports Illustrated, I Am Athlete, and now CBS Sports. The list of the accolades go on and on and on, but we know her as the professional table shaker, okay?
Oh my God.
Professional table shaker.
Miss Feather Ruffler herself is here.
In a male-dominated industry, we are super proud of her, and we're so excited for her to be here on the show. Ash, how you feeling?
All I thought about was what K. Michelle said with Love and Hip Hop. She's like, don't shake unless you want to get shook. But that was sweet. Thank you.
It was a compliment, apparently.
I'm gonna take this one. I'm so excited. This is like a live version of our group chat. It's gonna be chaotic, but it's gonna be fun. I can't wait.
I love that you're with them.
I'm so with
too.
it. You know, I never get to be like on this side of things. And usually when I am, I'm like talking about sports and things like that. So I'm excited to like talk about that, but everything other than that. It's gonna be fun.
And other things, like you said, like we're gonna have our girl chat. We normally literally are in the chat talking about everything under the sun together. So I think it's gonna be cool. And something I wanted to talk about too, what I love so much about our group chat is we're all in this industry as on-air talent, and we love to collaborate. We're constantly texting each other like, this is going on, we should go here, we should do this, connect with this person. And I love that about us. So I wanted to kind of start the show with talking about the importance of collaborating, you know what I mean, as women and women of color in our industry, where people think like you guys are competing when we don't have that energy amongst us.
Not at all. And I think it really just depends on your experience. I mean, feel free to give us your opinion, but like for me, I've always felt like because I had such a warm welcome into being an entertainment host, I always channeled that energy. But to be honest, if I had a sour, like welcome to being an on-air host, my energy will probably be different, unfortunately, because you would be jaded. But because, I was basically ushered by another woman of color into being an entertainment host, I feel like, you carry that with you.
I love that. I feel like for me, it's kind of like the opposite, but because it was the opposite, like I've made a conscious effort to be the opposite of my personal experience. Like I've told this story several times. I never had a female mentor, like in the very early stages of like my career. Anytime I've gotten an opportunity or advice, it's come from men. And I think that it's such a competitive field. And I think that especially in sports, once you get a certain spot, it's very hard to kind of want to lose that, or rather you don't want to lose that spot. So you think a lot of the times, if I give this little piece of advice or this piece of information, this girl could be coming from my spot. And I think that it's a nice idea that women help women, but I think that 9 times out of 10, that's not really the reality of the situation. And I think that sometimes the people who preach the loudest about that are the ones who are furthest away from that ideology. But I've never allowed that to kind of sour the way that I deal with people. I think even in the very early stages of my career, when I was still trying to figure it out, there were young girls looking up to me who thought that like I was further ahead of them, when in actuality, I was like, girl, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, trust me, I'm struggling just like you, but even that couple of steps maybe ahead of them that I am was more than where they are right now. And I would like offer advice or like, hey, like this is what you should do with social media, things like that. So I've never used, or I've never had the energy for other people that people have had for me. And I'm also a really big, firm believer, and I know people say this as a cliche, but I genuinely believe that you can't take what's not for you, and you can't take from me what's meant for me. You know what I mean? So I've just been very cautious about how I like move because of my experience.
Yeah, that's so important. And what is it that Issa Rae, I think, said that like it's important for you to like collaborate amongst like your peers that are in the same level as you, or like maybe a little bit like above or a little bit below. But I feel like in our, in our space, people are always trying to get to the person that's at the top. And it's like, there's levels to it. And I think when we kind of band together and like work as one, it's easier for us to kind of get to that next level. So I love that. Yeah. And for those who are new to our podcast and maybe new to you, let's talk about your origin story.
Oh Lord.
Where you're from. We know you rep New York. We talk about your New York Knicks, repping New York to the fullest, and how you got your start as a sports journalist and sports analyst in the industry.
So it's interesting, right? Because I really started off like in acting. My mom used to bring me to commercials all the time growing up in New York. She'd pull me out of school, bring me to the city, and we would just go to different auditions, different agencies. And I was such a shy kid, but like being in front of the camera like brought out a different version of my personality. And then the minute it would go off, I would be like back in my shell. But I think that it's such a hard industry, especially as a kid. You have to be able to deal with rejection. And I was never very good dealing with rejection. I always had to be the best. And because of that, I don't think I was mature enough at that age to really go through the process of hearing no and not getting parts that I really wanted and wondering why that person got it and I didn't get it. But that desire to be in front of the camera never went away. Sports was always a big thing for me. My dad and I bonded over it. I mean, there are pictures of me as a baby sitting on his lap, his Knicks hat or his cowboy hat. Aww. And as I got older, I really took an interest in like understanding it, not just enjoying it. I think when I was younger, it was very much like, oh, Allen Iverson, oh, Kobe, oh, LeBron, I like these guys. But it wasn't until probably high school when I was like, okay, but why does this work this way? Or why does this trade happen like this? Or what does this term mean? And then it was kind of the combination of the two worlds. And it just was the perfect fit. I knew what I wanted to do probably in high school.
How did you end up in Miami?
I went to college down here. I went to FAU. So applied to a bunch of different schools. And FAU was just kind of a different or it was a different environment. It wasn't New York and it was Miami-ish. Kind of.
Right, it's like north.
It's not quite like Broward. It's not quite West Palm. It's like its own little vibe. And then my career took off down here and I never had to go back to New York except for Sports Illustrated. I was very, very close. And then COVID hit. And then the world changed.
And God said, absolutely not. And you're a Miami mommy.
We're not doing that. Yeah.
So we call you a professional table shaker for many reasons. One, because I feel like, first of all, when you are commentating on sports, you're always ruffling somebody's feathers. But based on what you're saying, because you're never scared to say your honest opinion. But also because you are really good at still maintaining your personality in a very traditional world.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Like we hear the New York when you're on TV, and I love that about you.
It was a really tough balancing act, right? Because I think, again, COVID was a blessing and a curse, obviously, because of everything that the world went through and families, being torn apart because people passing and things like that. But in terms of the industry, and I think entertainment as well, I think media just in general, the blueprint that was always kind of the blueprint and the way of doing things, COVID really opened up the eyes of companies and media conglomerates and people who make decisions that there's more than one way to exist in this industry. And COVID was just the catalyst for that, right? People were doing YouTube videos and Snapchat. And I mean, you name it, everyone was kind of just figuring out what to do. Nobody was able to leave their house. So it's like, how do I be creative from home? And I think that opened up the door to so many different voices. And companies were like, so maybe the way we have been doing things hasn't really, translated to this new era. And when I was at Sports Illustrated, that was one of the things I was really, really adamant about when they hired me. I was like, look, you guys are a legacy brand. Nobody can take that from you. But when it comes to like the culture and when it comes to this new generation, they don't care. Like, they don't care about what you did in the 80s and the 90s. Right. Like, most of them weren't even born yet. So that was really important for me. And I just really enjoyed having the opportunity to kind of change that company. And then I think because that's the kind of vibe that I set for myself and the vibe around my career, I've been able to like continue that trajectory successfully, So
I wanted to take a second to have this conversation because I feel like I've dealt with this in my career. And I'm not sure if you guys have also experienced this, but I've worked with brands where they try to nitpick things that you post on social media, right? We're beautiful women, we travel, and you know, we want to post different things, whether it's us on the beach or, you know,
I know
having
where this
fun.
is going.
Right.
Okay.
No, because I think it's so important because I've had brands tell me like, you have to take this down, or companies I've worked with, like, you can't post this. So I want to know for you, like, how has it been like maintaining like, you know, your sexuality, your femininity, and just like being a beautiful girl and posting on social and having to work with like these big companies? Like, how do you maintain that and kind of stay within that?
Yeah,
You know
and
what I mean?
especially in such a traditional like line of work. Entertainment hosting and sports hosting are two completely different things. So like, God bless you. but how do you do it?
It's so funny you bring that up because that has been a struggle a lot of my career, right? And the unfortunate reality of the situation, that pushback doesn't just come from men, it also comes from women.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember about a year and a half ago at this point, there was an article written about me by Jeff Pearlman, who's written a bunch of like sports books. And it was titled, Is Ashley Nicole Moss the Future of Sports Journalism? And when interviewing me for the piece, he said he spoke to a bunch of people in the industry, and a lot of those were women. And while there were a handful of women who were very much, we love it, like she's like the modern sportscaster, like this is what we've been fighting so long to like get, you know, women to be able to be smart and sexy and so many different things. There were a lot of women who, he did not give me names, I'm still waiting on those though, because I would love to have that conversation, where women were telling him, I hate her, she sets us back, like this is, you know, just so detrimental to the career and to the industry. And it's crazy to me because even if you go back to like the 60s, the 70s, like when women were like picket lining to get equal rights and to be able to exist in their sexuality and be able to wear short skirts to the office and be able to do X, Y, and Z. Like, this was what the revolution was about, like not putting women in boxes and allowing them to be so many different things. I think the cool thing about being a woman, this is no shade to men because we need y'all, but like women can be so many different things. You can be a mother, you can be a wife, you can be submissive and dominant and smart and sexy. And I think that it's a disservice to like live as a woman and not be as many different things as you can be. And it just took me aback when I heard that coming from him, because I understand that for men, because men tend to like want to dilute your sexuality to make themselves more comfortable. But to hear that from women was just very just like, okay, wow, that's how we, okay, bet. Like,
That's crazy.
I'm gonna do it more now, you know? And now you see a lot of women in the industry, they're doing things outside of the industry. When I came in, there were a lot of people who were like,
they freeing the nipple.
Girl,
They doing whatever.
girl. There were a lot of people who, when I came into the industry, is she a sports broadcaster or an influencer? Because my Instagram was very much geared towards influencing. That's what was making me money when I was just getting my footing.
Right.
And there were a lot of, you know, women who were like, you know, having conversations, not to me, because I guess they knew better, but like about me to other people that would get back to me. And it was very much like, is she a broadcaster?
You know what? I was
or
gonna
influencer?
say. I was gonna say something that I dislike is the negative connotation with influencer. Like, I feel like in general, anyone. Oprah is an influencer. You know what I mean? Like,
everyone's an influencer to a degree.
Everyone that's watching, if you're being influenced by something that you're watching or you're consuming, I think anyone can be an influencer. I think it's just like, when it relates to social media, I think it just has like a negative connotation to it. And I really love that you're embracing that and that you're showing like, there's multiple sides to me. Like, I'm not just in this one box. And that's what I love about it.
Yes.
So,
Also,
exactly.
I'm going to say yes and no. I'm with you. Sometimes people are like, you're just an influencer. But at this, I think it's for people who are like micro influencers. Because if you look at like the Monet McMichaels, people are like, oh my God, she's an influencer. So I feel like when you're at a certain point,
you get a different
then people
level
respect it. But like if you're like under, or like if you don't have as many numbers, people are like, you know, oh, you're just an influencer. And one thing that Amanda and I talk about a lot, just in general, is like a lot of times the commentators and the brands will have something to say, but the reality is if you have 1.2, 3.4 million followers, it don't matter. All that stuff that they're doing goes out the window because now they're just focused on your numbers. So that's the experience that I have had, but I wanted to kind of go back into you talking about your line of work. how does that work? Because I used to feel weird when I was trying to do like the influencing stuff and like go into a corporate office. I'm like, oh, these executives, like I was in the Bahamas last week. You get what I'm saying? Like, how do you deal with that in terms of work?
The thing is like I have a very sound mind to know that like I don't want to solely exist in this space forever. And in order to do that, I have to go ahead and dabble in other areas. And also like I love what I do and I love sports. Y'all know, like, I'll spend all day watching basketball. Hey, girl, can you come out? I can't. Football's on, like, all day.
She's literally done that to us before.
I'm literally that girl, right? So, like, I love what I do and I'm really passionate about sports and I'm truly a student of the game. I always love learning and growing and just, like, feeding my mind and getting better at what I do. But that's not the only part of my life. You know, my job is not my only aspect of my life. It's not my life. You know, I travel, I have friends, I have family. Like I go here, I'm at fashion events. Like I don't just exist in this one space. And it would be unrealistic and disingenuous to only show one side when that's not my reality. Like, and
Right.
if the fact that I'm wearing a dress that's low cut or a dress that's short or I'm in a bathing suit when I'm at the beach or at the pool is that offensive to somebody, then they need to go ahead and figure out like why that is and maybe do some like self-reflection.
Some
Because if
serious
that makes you
therapy.
uncomfortable as a man or as a company or as a woman, whatever, you know, whoever it is that has the problem with it, you should probably like reflect on why that is. So I can't live my life for other people.
Agreed.
Obviously there's a limit. Like I can't be, you know, spread eagle on my Instagram like Lil Kim. But like, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, unless it's Halloween.
you know what I mean? That's a little extreme. There's levels to it.
I wanted to have that conversation because like I said, I dealt with that working in like the Bible Belt. I've had brand managers and people come to me like, I mean, I'm wearing athleisure and I need to take it down. And it's like,
No.
biker shorts and a sports bra?
Yeah, but then
But
forget
that's why
it.
I think it's important to have those conversations. But I also think that, you know, to that point, I wanted to ask you for, you know, women or, you know, anyone that's watching, like what piece of advice would you give to encourage people to maintain their authenticity when they're working on these different platforms?
I think the biggest thing is, and it took me a couple years to like get to the point because when you're in your early 20s, it's already hard as a woman, right? Because you're trying to figure out like who you are and, you know, your sexuality and how to exist in your sexuality, how to exist in your body. Your body's changing. Like you went from like a teenager to a young woman, but you're not quite fully at your peak yet. It's weird, right? So when you have like people telling you this is too much or you should look this way, like you absorb everything and it's a very hard time for your identity. But I will say like 25, 26 for me was like great when it came to like the shifting of like my mindset. I think the biggest thing is you just have to, one, have your people who like keep it a buck, tell you like, girl, that's not cute or girl, that's nothing. Like ignore those people. Have like your family circle if you're lucky enough to have, you know, a close relationship with your family. But also like above all of that, you have to just know like who you are and know where your individual line is. If you can really stand 10 toes down on a post and be like, no, I'm standing by this post. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Then stand on that. Like you have to be willing a lot of the time to vouch for yourself and go to war for yourself and be like, there's nothing wrong with this. And I can show you 20 examples of people who are in my industry who have similar things or maybe even worse. Because there is also a factor of color and race when it comes to certain things. And that's a conversation for a whole nother day. You can have a whole hour conversation about that.
Very
but
true.
if it's good for the goose, it's got to be good for the gander. And I'm not about to like dilute myself to make men feel more comfortable. I'm just not going to
Or
do that.
women.
Certainly not women.
Not only do you have to balance like your personality and your sexuality, but relationships. How do you do it?
I don't.
You don't have a type or you're not dating?
So like I'm open to dating. I definitely am open. My heart's open. I'm not dating right now. I think that the last situation that I was in was probably a gift and a curse. Obviously, we're not gonna name names, but we all know. For me, the hardest part of that wasn't really mourning the romantic aspect of it. It was more of the friendship because we had been friends for so long and have seen each other through so many different phases of like trying to figure it out, right? But I think that I knew that I wanted better for myself just as a woman in general. Because in my 20s, I spent a lot of time, like, I've always been very comfortable with my alone time and like being by myself. I've never been one of those people who like struggle being alone.
Same.
And you know what I mean? You grow up an only child, like you know what it's like to be alone. And also I was an introverted kid. So like it wasn't like I was the most outgoing, had a bunch of friends. Like I, from a very early age, learned how to just be by myself and be okay. But I've never really been good with like rejection and failure. And I've always had to like be the best, and I had to be the smartest in school, and I had to have the best work and the best projects and the best grades. And if I didn't, I took that on like a lot.
Where did that come from?
That's because you was in your head so much.
I'm also I'm also a Capricorn, like we're perfectionists. Like I'm just super like I have to be the best. I have to be the best, right? So when it came to men and what comes to men, rather, I think especially in my 20s, now I've kind of like shifted away from that. But because I've been okay with being by myself, but I haven't been okay with failure, if I was dealing with a guy and it didn't get to that next level or it wasn't going the direction that I wanted, something in me was like, but why? Like, how do you not want me? Like, no, I'm going to make you. It wasn't even like I actually wanted to be with this person. It was an ego thing. Like, how dare you? Like, are you for real? Like, I'm going to make it that you want me, which is exhausting. Don't do that.
It sounds like you have a problem with the word no.
I have a big problem with the word no. I think it also goes back to just like, you know, my dad also, a lot of like my young childhood was a workaholic. So I used to equate if I needed to be the best in order to get his attention type of thing. So I think it's just a cluster of things. But going back to that situation, I knew that like I was no longer in that space when I was willing to walk away from the potential of that relationship, what I thought the potential of that relationship was, the friendship of that relationship, and be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just walk away from it, not trying to hold out hope that it would work or I could make it better. And I think that that shift was so important. It was like right before the new year, right before I turned 31. And it just shifted my entire mindset with men. So right now at this stage, like I'm open to dating, but I'm also in the space where I'm not going to chase you. Like, if you don't call me, we don't talk. Like, if you don't text me, we don't talk. Like, you'll know that I'm interested in you. You'll know that, like, I'm feeling you, but I'm not going to chase you. And 20-year-old Ashley would be chasing you, like, running laps around you. Like, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. Like, I'm right here. Like, look at me. Like, look at me. Like, now it's like, I'm cool. Like, if I hear from you, I hear from you. If I don't, then I don't. Like, if you want me, you know where I am.
Because if he wanted to, he would.
If you want me, come and get me. Otherwise, like, I'm chilling.
Who's coming to get you? What's your type?
You know what I mean? Okay, so it's so funny.
Now you're blushing.
No, you know what? It's funny because I'll tell you this. Like, when I was younger, I would have told you like 6'7", light skin, cornrows, tattoos. I think physically, I don't know if I have a type anymore. I like black guys. I always have. Like, I've never dated outside of my race. Like, I've always only ever been with black guys. I dated a Dominican once, but that's the same thing. So, like, it's basically the same thing. So, it's a black guy who can speak Spanish. So
Panamanians too.
Yeah. It's the same thing. So now my type really is just like character based. I think one of the sexiest things that a guy could do for me is just be smart in ways that I'm not. And teach me things. Like, I love to learn things. Like, teach me about stocks. Teach me about art. Teach me about wine.
So
teach me about, you know what I mean? Like, be able to have a conversation. Like, what kind of books have you read? Like, I love guys who can, like, make me laugh. I think people think because my job is, like, so serious and I'm so serious. Behind closed doors, like, I'm goofy, I'm silly. Like, I like to laugh and, like, have fun. And I think that a lot of people don't really know that. But if a guy can make me laugh, like, it's over. It's pretty much a lock.
Put a ring on it, huh?
Like, lock it down. So, like, teach me something, make me laugh. I also, and this takes people by surprise, I'm not like someone who needs to be in the driver's seat in their relationship. When it comes to relationships, I'm a lot more submissive than I think people would think. Because in my career, I have to be like, this. I have to make a bunch of decisions. I have to say no. I have to say yes. When it comes to my man,
I'm just a girl.
I just want to be like a girl, for real. Like, I just kind of want to be like, now, don't get me wrong, I'm still my mama's daughter. Like, you're not about to sun me. Like, you're not going to push over me. I'm not a pushover. But I also, like, if like we're out somewhere and it's like, oh no, we leaving. Okay, we leaving. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's
We are leaving.
We are leaving now.
He's
Like,
outside.
yes, my
I gotta
man
go,
said
girls.
so. Or my man was like, he hits me and he's like, come on, I need you to come home. I'm like, I gotta go. My man's calling me. Like, so that's
Girl,
like
I feel you on that.
That's the kind of girl that I am. Like, if he hungry and he's like, can you bring me some food? I'm like, okay, what you want? Like, that's who I am. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the like.
You're feeding him.
You know what I mean? I know cater to you is very like, you know, controversial now in 2024, but that's me. Like, you want food? Like, take your plate, give you your plate. Like, that's who I am. Like,
my mom plates at the baby shower.
My mom is like that with my dad. So I grew up watching that and seeing it. Like, she serves him first. Like, when he's done eating, she takes his plate and puts it in the dishwasher or washes or whatever the case may be. Like, he'll try to lend a hand cleaning. Like, after dinner, she's like, no, I got it. Mm-hmm. But also, like, if my dad comes at her crazy, she's like, what you're not about to do is talk to me like that. Like, there's a balance. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people think that you can't be submissive and dominant, and you absolutely can.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So yeah, I like a man who like takes charge and is just like, you know, thoughtful and like considerate and like romantic. And those are things that are very much like important to me, and looks and whatever package that comes in doesn't matter as much as it did years and years ago.
Fellas,
like
take notes.
I was just about to say, I feel like there's a bunch of men watching this like, okay.
You would know what though?
And,
you would think that like the things that I'm asking for like are diamonds, rubies, and pearls, like with what's out here in these streets.
Girl.
Like, I'm talking like this is like bare minimum stuff.
No, it really
is.
like
a lot of the times you would think I'm asking you to move mountains and part the Red Sea. I'm just like, it's embarrassing. But yeah, I'm simple like that. I'm very like, I don't need you to like, you know, give me the world, although I will take it. Like,
we want the world too.
Yeah, I want everything. I want it all.
We want the world too.
I want it all.
I know you touched on, you know, the shifts that you've taken turning 31. And I think it's so important because I feel like we live so many different lives, like as we get older. Yeah. And the things we desire or what we once desired, it goes null and void. Like, we don't even want that anymore. Yeah. Something that you recently have talked to us about, you know, as girlfriends, is your egg freezing story. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things that like, I literally blink and I'm like, we're 30. And it's not something that you think about. It's really not something that you think about. I know I scared Crystal because I'm like, the 30s blend together. The years just go
I was like, well,
together.
Thank you for that.
In the nicest way. But like, what was that experience like for you? And like, emotionally, like, how did you prepare for that?
You know, it's hard when you even have to come to that like conclusion or even like think about it. Like, I had the conversations with my mom a bunch of times, and we recently just had it like on a plane, like going to a business trip. And it's weird, right? Because if you would have asked 19-year-old me where I would be at 31, I would have told you married, 2 kids, you know, and life's different than that. Like, it happens different than that. And the unfortunate reality for women is that your biological clock doesn't match your maturity. Mm-hmm. Like, I should not have been someone's mom at 25. I would have been a horrible mother. I was a hot ass mess. Like, I didn't even know what I wanted, really, what I didn't want. But that's when you're most fertile, right? Mm-hmm. And as you get older, you become less and less fertile. And then also I was so heavily invested in like pursuing my career and getting to where I wanted to be in my career that I wasn't even thinking about that. And then you read stories about like Gabrielle Union, and you read stories about Chrissy Teigen, and even Erin Andrews, who's like in her 40s and had to go through, I believe, surrogacy to have her son. I mean, it's the very real reality of the world we live in. And women are getting married much later. They're having children much later because they're pursuing their careers. But biologically, we haven't caught up to the modern times that we live in. So it's a very stressful and exhausting and kind of sad experience, and things to also like just a conversation to have, rather, because you realize that everything you thought you were going to have at this stage in your life, you don't have. But I think also after you do it, and after you make the decision to do it, rather, it's a weight, because you know, like, I have time to do it the way that I would want to do it if I were younger, because it's still biologically and all that stuff. It's still very much your child. You can still go ahead and carry that baby, you know, God willing. And that's the situation, you know, that's the plan that the universe has for you. But if not, somebody else can carry your child, but it's still biologically very much yours.
Yeah.
And not to say that that means anything more or less than if, you know, you adopt a kid
Right.
or whatever the case may be. But it just takes a weight, I think. And it's a very tough decision to make. It's a very inexpensive decision to make. But I think that once you kind of make it, it just kind of changes the way you date and changes the timetable in which you date. You know what I mean? And the
Yeah.
speed in which you feel like you have to date.
Yeah,
So-
It's on your
for
own
real.
terms.
Definitely speed,
Yeah.
because you look at the clock and you're like,
No, for real.
oh my God, what am I gonna do?
Which is crazy because 31 or 30
It's
is
not
not old.
old.
I really
fine.
apologize for when we were like the young early 20s,
Oh my
late
God.
teens, and we looked at 30 like,
you're old.
you're old.
Not
Like,
only that, but I think
no.
sports like messed up my mind because 36 in sports is old.
And
Like,
it's
when you
really
talk
not.
about
Who
LeBron,
are the players?
yeah, when you talk
Yeah,
about
okay,
when you
okay.
talk about LeBron, you're like, he's old. LeBron's 39.
not.
Like, you know, you know what I mean? When you talk about a basketball player and you're talking about how he's like, he's a 32-year-old point guard. He's ancient. It's like,
It's
God.
no, it's not.
Life gets better in your, I honestly like, I used to think people were crazy when I would hear women say this. Like I would read in articles and things like that. And you would hear women say, like, I would never go back to my 20s. I would never. And I was reading this at 25, 26. Like, who are these old ass women talking about they would never go back to their 20s? They're lying. But now being 31 and looking back, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I totally get what they mean by when they say I would never go back to
I mean,
being-
it matters what age in the 20s, because I might dibble and dab in
I
a
can
couple.
go back to like 27, 28,
Yes,
but
I always
21,
say-
never.
Yeah,
I'll
21
never.
is it's
a
over.
dud.
It's
a dud,
over.
Yeah.
I literally always say, you're not 21 till you're 25, 26. Like I would never go
I like that.
25. I'm
Yeah.
good. I started to really grow up at 27.
And
Me
the
too.
money- and the
Me
money
too.
was
I'll go
different.
back to 27,
27,
28.
yeah.
But
That's a good time.
20, 22, no, y'all
I'm
can
a
keep that.
mess.
I love
A
seeing
mess.
these little girlies like on social media, like 20. I'm like, girl, you don't even know. Like,
But can we talk about like, also, I think the 30s, we're like really the new 20s, because I see old, like younger girls, and I'm just like, I don't know if it's the makeup, but some of them are looking a little older to me.
it's also social media, right? You have to remember, like, we grew up, what was the biggest thing? MySpace?
Right.
Facebook?
If that, I didn't start getting on social media until I was 16. At least my frontal lobe was like already
Yeah,
starting.
like
Not the frontal lobe.
MySpace, we all thought we were like engineers and shit. We were like HTMLing it
Yeah.
and like, oop.
Yo, we were really coders back then.
No, we were coders.
were.
Then Facebook came, which was around high school. And then we had Twitter in its early, like the Wild Wild West
I got
days
one
of
for y'all. Did
Twitter.
you guys say
Wild West
Tumblr?
Twitter.
Tumblr was a
Tumblr.
thing. Instagram had those ugly filters that we all looked crazy on.
Snapchat was when- this
with
was
the
when Snapchat
crown
was
and
popping.
the dog ears. Like
The 2016 era
Not
of
the
Snapchat.
dog ears?
The 2016 era and 2017 era of Snapchat is undefeated.
not only that, but we were all dressing the same. We all had the Jeffrey Campbell shoes.
Yes.
We all had the tight bandage dresses that were like
BB.
knockoffs.
Rest in peace to BB.
BB, the Forever 21 knockoffs. Like none of our all had really thin eyebrows. Like
Let's not talk
Amazing.
about. Let's move on.
our concealer did not match our skin
Speak for some
tone.
people in this room, though.
No, my eyebrows were thin, girl.
Thin eyebrows unite.
My eyebrows were thin. My hair was fried from all the damn blonde I would put in it. My concealer did not match my skin tone. Like I was using Wet n Wild like concealer that was basically white. It was
Girl,
bad.
everything
Girl.
was so trial and
It was
error.
it
but we
was
made
horrible back then. We
Even
did. We
Listen,
did.
I don't
We
even know how I
made it
got my
through.
first kiss back in the day.
We
'cause
made
it
it
was looking
through
rough
because we
for
were
your
beautiful
girl.
and we still are.
I will say though that I really do appreciate how transparent and like unfiltered you are when you talk about like freezing your eggs at such a young age, because I feel like that's such a sensitive topic. But it's funny because this podcast was almost named Unfiltered, and then Amanda came up with elevators, and we were like, okay, let's do elevators. But
We have to keep both.
we had to keep both.
Okay.
And we are implementing a segment called Unfiltered, emphasis on the her, where we talk obviously very unfiltered about
Uncut, raw.
unfiltered, not BT uncut, but like a little uncut. And we're gonna fire off some unhinged questions.
Oh,
Just
Lord.
a few.
And when she says unhinged, I know she means unhinged.
So, first and foremost, would you ever date a guy that used to be friends with someone you previously dated?
Like, define date. Were we like talking, getting to know each other, or like have we seen each other naked type date? Like,
Talking and getting to know each other.
For sure. Like, back in the day, I'd be like, no, that's homie hopping. Listen, if you and I have not had sex and we were like on one date,
doesn't count.
Does not count. Like, it didn't work. It's probably the homie now. Like, and sometimes you meet people and you think like, oh, we're gonna like start dating, and you start talking to them and it's like, it's not a fit. So I can't talk to your homeboy because I talked to you for like 2 months and we did nothing. No, I would absolutely do it for sure.
Another question that I think I want to know, because I know they come at my girl hot on social, okay? On Twitter, Instagram, the whole nine.
Yeah.
Craziest DM you ever received?
Oh, that's easy. I get random pics.
What?
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's sexual harassment.
And you know
But
what?
like, it's fake pages or real pages?
Real people. Like, it's coming from their real accounts. Like, if I ever wanted to like sun them, I could, which is even crazier, right? So like, they're really good at like hiding it. So like, they'll put the top of like, you know how you can just space, or like on Instagram, it'll show you like the last message sent, not the first message sent. So they'll send the pic first and then be like, love this interview that you did. Like, it was so great. So I'm thinking like, oh my God, that's so sweet. Like, let me open it so I can repost. And then bam, there it is. And can I tell you,
oh my gosh,
they're not that impressive. Like, they're not even, like, if you gonna send me a pic, at least like send me a pic. Like, let it be like,
she said,
oh my gosh.
She said, make sure that is in the pic.
Unfiltered conversations here, y'all.
like, don't send it to me if you're not gonna send it to me. Like,
if you're watching and you sent the photo, I'm sorry.
Sorry, you know what I mean? But yeah, they're not impressive 9 times out of 10. See, there was 1 or 2 that was like, I've gotten some.
I'm thinking like it'd be like a celeb or something.
No,
like,
I've gotten some celeb.
I was
I would
say,
never say
what?
who's,
No,
but
no.
like I have. Yeah,
Not
like
who.
A-list, B-list, or C-list.
Yeah,
Music or sports?
both.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's
Rap
scary.
or R&B?
rap.
Ooh, I'm trying to break it down so we can get
categories.
No,
genres.
I've gotten a few from it's and it's just
What's the first letter?
There's a few. There's been some K's. There's been a few.
Has there been some D's?
No.
There's been some D's.
I'm dead. No, what
yeah.
I want to know. I mean, this kind of like piggybacks off, but like I was gonna say, what's the most like unhinged DM you've got from like a celebrity or athlete? Because we already know, like the athletes are always gonna shoot their shot, even if you're like, I'm good, like I don't want to go down this road. They're still gonna shoot their shot. So between like athletes and like other celebrities, what's the most unhinged DM aside from like
The pictures.
I've been offered. It came from like it came from like this person's team, not directly him. So it was more of an email than a DM. But I was offered 500,000, maybe 6. I can't remember the exact numbers, in that range, like $500,000 range, to date this guy for an NBA season.
Wow.
Like,
so these
a PR
type of things really
relationship.
happen in real life.
Yeah, for sure. PR relationships absolutely do. They're like a real thing. So it was probably like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago at this point.
Was there going to be like a contract in place and all that?
Yeah, so there's a contract. Like, if you guys, when you guys, because it's not a real relationship, I mean, there's a chance you guys fall in love and like it becomes real, you know what I mean? But basically what happens is like you sign an NDA. So like if you, or when you break up, like you can't, divulge anything that transpired in this relationship, like whatever he does in his private life, you can't, which I would never do anyway, just because of my career. I would never put myself in that position to where I'm like talking about an athlete and now like nobody wants to have an interview with me because they think I'm just gonna like, you know what I mean? So I would never do that. But you sign like a bunch of things, and it goes both ways. Like, it's like he has to sign one for you and you have to sign. There's like it's a contract. It's a legitimate contract of what you can do, how many times you have to be seen together, like, how many games you have to attend, how many dates you have to go on. Like, it is like bar for bar, like rules and regulations, when your start date is, when your end date is.
Did you think about it, or you were like, absolutely not?
No, because one, I think that there's already that's kind of attached to my career. Like I can be seen in the same there are Reddit threads and like other blogs that literally have me in relationships or had me in former relationships with guys that I've never met. Like I saw a rumor the other day that Devin Booker and I were together for like 6 months. I'd never even met Devin Booker. Like I have not met him a single time.
That's insane.
There was a rumor I saw somewhere, and I don't even see it. I have nosy ass friends like y'all. So like they'll be like, "Girl, did you see this?" And like show it to me. Like there was a rumor I was dating some coach in Memphis. I've been to Memphis once, and that was like 4 years ago. So it's
People
crazy.
have too much time.
It's crazy. Like they'll dissect my Instagram likes, my Instagram following, who followed me, who I unfollowed. Like it's crazy. So I would never do that just because that brings another layer to the chaotic layers that already exist with my career. And also more importantly, I don't play when it comes to like love and relationships and things like that. Like I'm very much like, if it's not going to be real, it's a waste of my time. You know what I mean? I don't want to waste my time with something that is not real and has no longevity.
And you don't need the money.
And I don't need the money. I mean, listen, a free $500,000, like shoot. But like what I would have to do to get it is kind of like,
not at
it's
the
not
expense
worth it,
of your
yeah.
reputation.
Not at all.
and-
you know what I mean?
Not
And
at
like
all.
people find stuff out like that all the time. Like even though you technically sign an NDA, people are nosy. Like people will dissect and flip and reverse things until they figure out, you know, what's real and what's not. And I'm good. I'm good on that. But I appreciate the offer. Like,
That is a crazy. That is
That's a great offer.
That is a crazy. The
yeah.
DMs.
It's happened a lot though. It happens like not to me, but it happens a lot like in the industry. You'd be very
I
surprised.
believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. I love that we can have like these conversations like together, like unfiltered, and just really talk about things that people don't know that goes on behind the scenes. But like you said, it's a lot. It's a lot that goes down. But bringing it back to the show, and one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on, because we think that you are an elevator. We know that you are an elevator.
I appreciate that.
And we want to know just what you do in your own like spare time, like when you're just trying to regroup and recharge to continue to elevate.
I'm big on meditation. I like, again, my alone time. I value it, and I do whatever I need to do to kind of reset myself on the days that I don't have to watch sports. I read and meditate. You know, I'm a Pilates girl. Like that brings me a lot of serenity and peace. And also I'm very much grateful for like my crew, y'all, my other friends, because you guys are, you know, outside of Amina, shout out to Amina doing big things at ESPN. We love you, girl.
We got to get you on the show too, Amina.
We're so proud of you. And another one of my friends, Olivia, who's killing it in Denver. You two are my only friends in the media space, really. The rest of my girls couldn't tell you the difference between a touchdown and a slam dunk. Like, my homegirl Anna, who's been in my life like 10 years now, I'll be like, "Do you know who this is? Like, this is little." She's like, I don't know who." Like, she knows LeBron, KD, and Steph Curry. That's
Right.
it. She don't ask her anything else. But I'm grateful for like my circle because it keeps me grounded, and I also really enjoy that like when we are together, whether I'm in a big group or like one-offs, it's not about any of that. You know, it's a way to like escape all of that because it's draining and it can be a lot and it can be tedious and it can be emotionally draining because it's a lot of like it's not a lot of realness that comes with the industry that we're in. Unfortunately, everyone's trying to one up each other. You know, relationships tend to be a little bit transactional sometimes. And I think it's so important to have relationships that aren't that. And one of the things that I'm so grateful for is that my circle of friends, and it's about 8 of y'all that like are really friends. And I stopped using the word friend for everyone because I used to be that girl in my 20s. Like, that's my friend.
Yep.
That's my friend. That's my friend. They're not all your friends.
Very true.
So like my friend group is like a group of like just really dope women, and you guys are all different. Like I have people who are moms and like that's all they want to be, and wives, and that's all they want to be. I have friends who work in finance, and like friends who work in entertainment, and friends who work in sports, but are moms as well, and wives, and balancing that. And I learned so much from each of y'all in different ways. And just having that support system, but also having just like that safe space where it's like, I don't have to be as like put together and polished and everything I have to be in like the public world with my friend group. I can be like, man, I don't know, like what the like, you know, this, you know, I can just be like who I normally am, and having that escape is so important. And I really credit my friend group for being the reason why I've been able to like exist in this space as long as I have, because it can get hard and it can get to be a lot. And I think a lot of the times, as much as you choose or much as you want to not allow the opinions of others to affect you. Nicki Minaj had this amazing interview that she did, and then I'm going to mess up her quote because it's not direct, but she basically said humans are not meant to know what people think about them the way people in the public eye do. Like, you're not supposed to be aware of everyone's opinion of you. It's just not natural. And when you're in a public space in any capacity, you are aware of what people think of you 24/7.
Yeah.
And it's not natural and it's not healthy. And it's very hard a lot of the times to not allow that to consume you. And it's natural to want it to, it's natural for it to consume you, because it's like you hear something constantly. You can only stop penetration from that for so long.
Right.
Like, it eventually will seep through, you know, your ears, your spirit, whatever. It's so important to have that buffer.
And even though you have thick skin, I do want to know if there was ever a comment that like really hurt your feeling.
Yeah, probably the comments that I've gotten like about my race, and those still very much like sting a little bit, just because, you know, people, I don't know, people think that like because you're not fully Black that you can't understand what Black people as a community go through, Black women go through. And those comments always sting the most, because I have been very determined in my career to forge opportunities and to open doors and to break ceilings for all women, but specifically Black women. And I understand completely that, you know, being a light-skinned woman, you are awarded privilege. And I've never been someone who pretends that doesn't exist. I know that, you know, when it comes to brands, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to, you know, networks, when it comes to anything in this space, the lighter your skin is, there's a privilege that's awarded with it. And I get that. And I always knew that from an early age, but I also knew the minute I got into this industry and I really started to like find my footing, that that was something that I could use to help make sure that other women who may not look like me, but who come from my same community, didn't have to struggle as much, because there were a lot more opportunities. And I think that all women who have privilege, but specifically women who come from the Black community who have that privilege, it's our responsibility to make sure that we're not gatekeeping. And I've never been a gatekeeper. Like, anyone knows me knows that, like, if you hit me up and you're like, hey girl, like, you know, can you put me in contact with this person, or can you get me an interview with this person? Like, if I can help you, I'm gonna help you. Like, I've never been the girl who's like, not gonna tell you where my clothes are from, not gonna tell you who does my nails, not gonna tell you where I got my hair done, like trivial things like that. But when it comes to your career, if you need to know something and I can help, I'm gonna help you. But also, like, every opportunity that I have had, people fail to realize I was the first Black woman at Sports Illustrated to head the video department. So now, hopefully, the next woman who comes in and wants that job, who is a woman of color or a Black woman, doesn't have to work as hard to get it, because now they know what that looks like. When I was at I Am Athlete, I was the first woman ever to have a seat at that company. So maybe it may not be I Am Athlete, but maybe it's another male-dominated, you know, entity, and they see, okay, this is how it worked over there. You can go ahead and break down walls there. At CBS, I mean, there's a few of us, but it's still just a few of us. I mean, every single spot that I have been in, I have done my damnedest to make sure that I'm leaving a legacy that doesn't just represent my brand, but makes it easier for a woman that comes after me. So comments like that, and not so much from men, but more so from women, sting, because it's like, y'all don't even know how hard I work, so you don't have to. Like, you have no idea, like, how many no's I have heard, or how many situations that I have been in, or how much just shit that I have been through and put up with, so that hopefully the next generation that comes after me doesn't have to work as hard. So, like, it stings because it's like, you don't see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is very much that. I'm 100% someone who believes that when you open a door, It's not just the polite thing. Like if I hold that door open for you right now and you're coming through it, yeah, it's polite to just like not slam the door in somebody's face. But the deeper meaning for me is like now it's easier for you to get in this room than it was for me because you don't have to open it. And that's why those comments like that, especially when they come from other women, are just so like, I'm gonna take the high road because y'all don't even know. But like, if you knew, you wouldn't be talking to me crazy like this right now. So like, those comments probably sting the most whenever I get them. Everything else, like, oh, you're only on TV because you're pretty. At least you think I'm cute. Like, thank you.
And I would say something that I really admire about you is just how you're able to kind of shift the conversations and not, you know how Michelle said, when they go low, we go high. Like you don't go low with them. You know what I mean?
Like, because I was a pop back queen on social media. Like, if you came in, but that's also a New York thing. Like you grow up fast and like you have to learn how to be quick.
You gotta be witty, or those girls will eat you alive.
I appreciate about living in New York that I had to adapt to. Like I really loved, learning how to get that thicker skin. Like you said earlier, like it's hard out here. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad.
You have to learn how to like be quick. And like when I was younger, I would read all the comments, and if there was a comment that I didn't like, oh, you want to go? We gonna go. Now it's kind of like you're giving them what they want, which is your attention for whatever short period of time it is, because that's the highlight of their day. But every now and then, if you catch me on the right day, I'm still that girl. Like I'm still gonna comment you crazy. But for me, like all those comments mean nothing. Oh, you're just this person because you're pretty, or this one, you're just a fake. Like none of that. You don't know what you're talking about. Like whatever. It's the comments about race, but specifically when they come from women that make me feel a certain type of way, because like I don't just do this for me because I know I'm not going to be doing it forever. Yeah. But I'm a firm believer, like if you're in a space and while you're in that space, you're only doing things to better yourself. Right. And push yourself to wherever it is that you want to be, whatever your end goal is, like it's selfish. Right. Like you have just in general, like as a human, like we only have such a small time on this planet. Like it's in the grand scheme of life, it's such a blink. Like, I feel like it's just our innate responsibility as people who like occupy a space on this planet to like leave it better for the next generation. And in whatever small or major way that may be. And for me, I can't go out and like save the dolphins and the whales and things like that, but I have made it my mission to, while I'm pursuing my dreams and pushing my career along, to make sure that like the next generation that comes after me, like y'all don't have to hear as many no's. You know what I mean? Like y'all don't have to worry about like posting a bikini when you go on vacation with your friends. Like y'all don't have to worry about being taken seriously as a journalist because you also, have a deal with a makeup brand and you're doing makeup tutorials on your Instagram or your YouTube. But like,
because you're a human being with many layers.
Y'all don't have to hide your relationship because people won't take you seriously if they think you're like, dating this person, or like they're not going to want you because they think you're no longer on the, like, all of that is our responsibility as like women who are in the now, to make sure like they don't have to deal with that, because to a small degree it was done for us, but times were different, right? Like it was harder.
We have different demons to battle, right? So I hope that I hope that women who are watching Elevators podcast feels the elevation from the other side of the camera.
I know we feel it here.
Yeah, this is exactly why we decided that this podcast was to be unfiltered, to be an unapologetic woman, but also like to encourage other women to come on, and to be themselves in whatever space they're in. So thank you very much for coming on with us today.
And
we
appreciate it. Like, I just want to give you two first of all, listen,
thank you.
They did this for me in terms of like the launch of this podcast. So
God, Naomi said the same thing. I'm like, no, we just moved so fast.
We really did. With the rest of the world, Naomi, I feel you, girl, because I found out with the rest of the world that like they were launching this podcast, and I was like, I know my friends were not working on this and did not tell me.
No, honestly,
it happened so fast.
It happened so quickly. Like Crystal and I don't know what happened, but like in like the matter of like 2 weeks, we already had the idea, but we like really wanted to cook things up right before our birthdays, and we always knew we wanted you to be a part of this. Right. Like as our sister and just our media sister and our friend that's here in Miami, and just someone that we've been watching and are so familiar with your work ethic and just all the shifts that you've been making in the industry. We had to get you on here, so we're proud of you.
I'm proud of
appreciate you for being proud of us.
No, but for real, because you two are two of the most like optimistic people I probably have in my life. Like, I'm somebody who, like, to my detriment, I always think about, like, what can go wrong and, like, how's this going to affect, like, I should prepare for, like, these two are so optimistic. Like, Amanda will be like, I'm claiming it. I'm manifesting it. It's already ours. Crystal, if she says she's going to do something, she's going to do it.
It's already done.
It's already done.
We'll figure it out.
You can tell her, like, girl, I don't know if that's what... Watch me. Like, you two are so optimistic. And I think that, like, just so talented in what you guys do. And I think that it's really dope how you have your hands in so many different things in this space. And I'm so excited for like where this podcast is gonna go.
You,
I'm so excited for the future, for Fortune and Forks down here in Miami. It's just, I'm really, 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 really proud of y'all. It's very hard to like self-start things and to not have the backing of a major company to kind of push things out, and like this to look around and just like be like, we did this like on our own accord. Y'all should be very, very proud of yourselves. I'm very proud of y'all.
Okay, well, we gotta end on that note. We got our flowers, and of course, wanted to give our girl her flowers. Thank you all so much for tuning into Elevators Podcast with Ashley Nicole Moss.
And subscribe.
Yes, definitely subscribe and tell a friend and repost it and watch it again.